Franklin Roberto Bobby Lashley is an American mixed martial artist, former collegiate amateur wrestler, and professional wrestler, currently signed to Total Nonstop Action Wrestling under the ring name Lashley. He is perhaps best known for his time in WWE, where he is a one-time United States champion and two-time ECW World Champion. Lashley also has the distinction of being the first African American to hold the ECW World Heavyweight Title as well as the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. Lashley attended Missouri Valley College, where he won 3 National College Amateur Wrestling Championships between 1996 and 1998 and placed 4th in 1995. In 1997 and 1998, he was the National Association of Intercollegiate Athletics National Wrestling Champion. Lashley later joined the United States Army, where he continued to wrestle. He was training for the Olympics in 2003, when he suffered a knee injury while doing business at a bank where a robbery broke out. The injury ended his Olympic plans, and Lashley went into pro wrestling soon after. Professional Wrestling, World Wrestling Entertainment, debut. In November 2004, Lashley began working in the professional wrestling area and signed a developmental contract with World Wrestling Entertainment. He was assigned to the development territory Ohio Valley Wrestling, where he was known as Blaster Lashley, and was a member of the Bolin Services stable along with Mike Mondo and Ken Doane. However, during that time Bolin Services began to crumble, with Lashley refusing to help Doane win matches, resulting in him turning face and going by his Bobby Lashley name. United States Champion, in mid-2005 Lashley appeared at 4 live events, wrestling in dark matches for both the Raw and SmackDown brands. On September 23, 2005, Lashley made his televised WWE debut as a face on SmackDown. Using the name Bobby Lashley, Lashley was introduced as a 3-time National Amateur Wrestling Champion, a 4-time All-American, a 2-time Armed Forces Champion, and a 2002 silver medalist at the Military World Championship. In his first match, he defeated Simon Dean. In his pay-per-view debut at No Mercy, he defeated Dean once again. Lashley went on to defeat numerous superstars both on SmackDown and Raw. On the November 11 episode of SmackDown, Lashley defeated Orlando Jordan in a qualifying match for a place on Team SmackDown at Survivor Series, where he was the first to be eliminated. Prior to this elimination, Lashley was dominating the Raw superstars, showcasing various power moves, and a finisher on Carlito. Yet a choker slam from Kane, who was on the apron, caused Lashley to be eliminated. On January 6, 2006, Lashley became the first SmackDown wrestler to qualify for that year's Royal Rumble. At the Royal Rumble, Lashley was the 8th wrestler to enter the match. He eliminated Sylvan, but he was then eliminated by the combination of Raw's then World Tag Team Champions The Big Show and Kane. Following the Royal Rumble, Lashley began a feud with John Bradshaw Layfield leading up to a match at No Way Out. The match turned out to be Lashley's first loss in singles competition, largely due to interference from Finlay. This prompted a feud between Lashley and Finlay, which lasted throughout February and March. This notably included a lumberjack match, which Finlay won after using a Schiller. On April 2, after winning a Battle Royal by lastly eliminating MNM, Lashley competed at his first WrestleMania in the Money in the Bank ladder match which was won by Rob Van Dam. Lashley next entered SmackDown's King of the Ring tournament. He made it to the finals, defeating Mark Henry and Finlay in the process. However, in the final round held at Judgment Day he was defeated by Booker T with help from Finlay. As Booker was being crowned during his coronation, Lashley speared him. These acts developed into a feud with the newly named King Booker, and the other members of his court. During this feud, Lashley won his first professional wrestling championship by defeating JBL for the United States Championship, which he lost to Finlay a little less than 2 months later. Lashley later joined forces with Batista against the court. Shortly after losing the United States title, a physician declared Lashley unable to compete, stating that during an annual exam, Lashley was found to have elevated enzymes of the liver and therefore, would not be cleared to wrestle until further evaluation. Lashley returned a couple of weeks later to the SmackDown roster to continue his feud with the Court and went on to earn his first match for the World Heavyweight Championship at No Mercy against King Booker. The bout was subsequently turned into a four-way bout, also including Batista and Booker's ally, Finlay. King Booker won the match after pinning Finlay. ECW World Champion. On November 14, 2006, Lashley moved to the ECW brand. He debuted on the brand by making a surprise appearance to sign a contract for the final spot in the Extreme Elimination Chamber match for the ECW World Championship at December to Dismember. At December to Dismember, Lashley was the fifth person released into the match. He eliminated both Test and The Big Show by pinfall after a spear to become the new ECW World Champion. This made Lashley the first African American to hold the ECW title. After winning the ECW World Championship, Lashley then had successful title defenses against Big Show, Rob Van Dam, Test, Hardcore Holly, Kenny Dykstra, and Mr. Kennedy. On the March 19, 2007, episode of Raw, Lashley officially became the first and only person to ever break Chris Masters' Master Lock hold and thus the first and only person to ever defeat the Master Lock Challenge. In early 2007, Lashley was selected by Donald Trump to represent him in a Battle of the Billionaires match, against Vince McMahon's representative, Umaga, which also featured Vince's longtime adversary Stone Cold Steve Austin as the guest referee. At WrestleMania 23 in a hair versus hair match, Lashley defeated Umaga following a spear and helped Trump shave McMahon's head afterwards in accordance with the match's losing stipulation. After WrestleMania, Lashley feuded with Mr. McMahon. McMahon booked himself, his son Shane McMahon, and Umaga in a 3-on-1 handicap match against Lashley at Backlash for the ECW World Championship. After two high-impact diving splashes from Umaga, Mr. McMahon tagged himself into the match and pinned Lashley to win the title. Lashley legitimately injured his shoulder during the match, and after an examination days later, it was revealed he had a damaged rotator cuff but would not need surgery at the time. At Judgment Day, Lashley defeated Vince, Shane, and Umaga in a 3-on-1 handicap rematch after hitting the Dominator on Shane McMahon. Lashley did not win the ECW World Championship, however, because he did not pin Mr. McMahon. As a result, Mr. McMahon retained the title. On June 3 at One Night Stand, Lashley defeated Vince McMahon in a street fight to win the ECW World Championship for a second reign despite interference by Shane McMahon and Umaga in the match, making Lashley the first man to win the ECW World Championship twice since WWE reactivated the title. Pursuit of the WWE Championship. On the June 11 edition of Raw, Lashley was drafted from the ECW brand to the Raw brand as part of the 2007 WWE Draft. As a result of the drafting, Lashley had the ECW World Championship taken from him. He took place in a challenge match against Mick Foley, Randy Orton, King Booker and John Cena for the WWE Championship at Vengeance, Night of Champions, which Cena won to retain the WWE Championship. Lashley became the #1 contender for the WWE Championship by winning the Beat the Clock Challenge on the July 2 edition of Raw. On July 22 at the Great American Bash, he was pinned and defeated by John Cena. After the match they shook hands as a sign of respect. This was Lashley's final WWE pay-per-view appearance. On July 30 episode of Raw, Lashley was defeated by Mr. Kennedy. During the match, Lashley was injured after Mr. Kennedy kicked Lashley's shoulder into the ring steps, allowing Lashley to have time off for surgery for the legitimate injury he suffered at the Great American Bash. This was Lashley's final appearance in WWE. After a 6-month injury, WWE announced that Lashley was released from his WWE contract on February 4, 2008. Asistencia los Asura y Administracia Cubden and Independent Circuit. After Lashley was released from WWE, Lashley returned to wrestling by appearing at Asistencia los Asura y Administracia Cubden's flagship event Triplemania 16. He, along with Kenzo Suzuki and Electroshock, defeated Chessman, Silver King, and La Parka, Jr. Also after his departure from the WWE, Lashley would appear in many independent promotions, such as World League Wrestling. He also appeared in the Denver-based Fusion Pro Wrestling, teaming with AJ Styles and Paul Diamond to face the Three Egos. He also wrestled for the Inoki Genome Federation in Japan. Total Nonstop Action Wrestling. Lashley made an appearance at Total Nonstop Action Wrestling's Lockdown pay-per-view event on April 19, 2009, and he also later appeared on that week's episode of TNA Impact. Both times pointing and smiling at the main event Mafia, thus appearing as a heel. On July 15, TNA announced that he had signed an official contract with the company. On July 23, Kurt Angle introduced Lashley as the newest member of the main event Mafia. Lashley entered the ring and hugged Angle while the rest of the Mafia held a beacon and battered Mick Foley upright. Angle then told Lashley to finish off Foley, but as Lashley prepared to spear Foley, he turned on Angle and cleared the Mafia from the ring, thus making him a face. On the July 30 edition of Impact, Lashley made his in-ring debut for TNA in a tag team match as he and Mick Foley wrestled against World Heavyweight Champion Kurt Angle and Legends Champion Kevin Nash, where if Angle or Nash was pinned, whoever defeated them would win their respective title. It started out as a handicap match thanks to the main event Mafia attacking Lashley before the match, but eventually Lashley entered the match and helped Mick Foley pin Nash to win the match for his team and become the Legends Champion. On the August 27 edition of Impact, Jeremy Borash interviewed him and TNA President Dixie Carter, in which she said their goal was to make him a world champion in both MMA and TNA. At No Surrender, he defeated Rhino with a knockout punch. After No Surrender, Lashley began a feud with Samoa Joe. After teaming with Team 3D in a winning effort against Rhino and the British Invasion on the October 1 edition of Impact, Joe assaulted Lashley and choked him out with a rear naked choke. The following week, Lashley cost Joe the X Division Championship in a match against Amazing Red. At Bound for Glory, Lashley defeated Joe in a submission match. The following month at Turning Point, Lashley's winning streak came to an end, when Scott Steiner pinned him in a Falls Count Anywhere match following a shot with a steel pipe. On November 26, Lashley defeated Abyss, Desmond Wolfe, and Robert Roode to win the TNA Championship Series tournament and earn himself a future World Heavyweight Title shot. At Final Resolution, Lashley avenged his prior loss and defeated Steiner in a last man standing match with a pipe shot. On the January 4, 2010, Monday night edition of Impact, Lashley and Crystal turned heel after requesting their immediate releases from TNA in order for Lashley to fully concentrate on his MMA career. Lashley went on to attack random wrestlers until he was granted what he wanted. On the January 21 edition of Impact, Lashley suddenly apologized to new executive producer Eric Biscoff for his actions, saying he just wanted to compete, but was nevertheless fired by him the following week. This was Lashley's last TNA appearance until 2014. On February 10, 2010, Lashley's profile was removed from the official TNA website. In an interview with Heavy Sports, Lashley claimed that the release was legitimate and had been done in order for him to fully focus on his MMA career. Independent circuit. After Lashley was released from TNA, he made one appearance in Antonio Inoki's promotion Inoki Genome Federation. He defeated another WWE alumni, The Predator. He returned to Japan in September 25, 2010 for a tag team match with Bob Sapp against Kendo Kashin and Taman Honda. Bob and Bobby were defeated. Since then, Lashley regularly performs in IGF. In 2011 he participated in the IGF Championship tournament. He won the first round match against Keith Hansen, but was defeated in semi-finals by Josh Barnett. On October 20, 2012, Lashley wrestled Jay Bradley and Robert Anthony in a three-way match for the vacant Resistance Pro Wrestling Heavyweight Championship, which was won by Anthony. On June 26, 2013, Lashley signed a 2-year contract with IGF, after winning the promotion's general election. Returned to TNA. On March 9, 2014, Lashley returned to TNA at Lockdown in Miami, Florida, answering Ethan Carter III's open challenge after his scheduled opponent could not wrestle due to an injury. On the March 20 episode of Impact Wrestling, Lashley and Carter had a rematch that once again ended in a no contest after an interference by Willow attacking Carter. On the May 15 episode of Impact Wrestling, Lashley made his return after running out to the aid of Eric Young, but instead hitting Young with a spear, and allying himself along with MVP and Kenny King, thus turning heel. In June 2014, TNA started introducing him as Lashley. On the June 19 episode Impact Wrestling, Lashley defeated Eric Young to win the TNA World Heavyweight Championship, his first championship in his TNA career, as well as his third World Championship. He defended the title on June 20, 2014 against Young. On June 25, Lashley defended the title against Jeff Hardy. At Impact Wrestling, Destination X, on June 26 Lashley defended the title against Austin Aries, who had forfeited the X Division Championship for a title shot. On the September 18, 2014 edition of Impact Wrestling, Lashley lost the TNA World Heavyweight Championship to Bobby Roode. Mixed martial arts, early MMA career. Lashley made his mixed martial arts debut at the Mixed Fighting Alliance inaugural event There Will Be Blood on December 13, 2008 at the American Airlines Arena in Miami, Florida. He won via TKO over Joshua Franklin in 41 seconds of the first round. Lashley's next fight was on March 21, 2009. He was supposed to fight Ken Shamrock, but his opponent was changed to Bellator MMA veteran Jason Guida after Shamrock tested positive for steroids. Lashley won the fight after a unanimous decision. Lashley signed with the Maximum Fighting Championship and made his debut on May 15 against Mike Cook, who made his ring entrance wearing a Rey Mysterio mask, which Lashley took as an insult. He went on to defeat Cook with a guillotine choke just 24 seconds into the first round. On June 27, 2009, Lashley defeated Bob Sapp at the PFP Ultimate Chaos event in Biloxi, Mississippi. He won the bout via TKO in the first round, making Lashley's MMA record for a Euro 0. Strikeforce. He was scheduled to make his Strikeforce debut against undefeated heavyweight Shane Del Rosario at Strikeforce, Miami, but for unknown reasons, Strikeforce decided to change his opponent. Lashley was then expected to face journeyman Jimmy Embrys on January 30, 2010 at Strikeforce, Miami, but that matchup was also scrapped. Lashley wound up facing former UFC fighter Wee Sims at the event. Lashley defeated Sims via first-round TKO victory to remain undefeated. Lashley was expected to fight on April 17, 2010 at Strikeforce, Nashville, as the promotion had already submitted an opponent for Lashley and was awaiting approval from the Tennessee Athletic Commission. According to Strikeforce CEO Scott Coker, the bout would likely be the fourth bout on the CBS televised portion of the event. On April 5, Lashley confirmed that he will not appear on the card since Strikeforce officials could not guarantee an appearance on the televised portion of the card due to time constraints. Bobby was set to appear at Strikeforce, Los Angeles in June fighting Ron Sparks, however he suffered a knee injury and did not compete. Lashley faced Chad Griggs at Strikeforce, Houston on August 21, 2010. Lashley came out shooting the takedown, and ground and pounding. Lashley dominated at first but Griggs caught him with a series of uppercuts on one of the takedowns in the first round, opening a gash under the left corner of Lashley's left eye, and Lashley had trouble keeping Griggs from striking him even though he had dominant control over him on the ground, but Griggs was still finding openings on the bottom. Lashley was able to continue in the second round, continuing takedowns and ground and pound. Lashley eventually passed a mount halfway through the second round and unloaded many good punches on Griggs while maintaining control. Referee John Schultz then asked the fight to be stood up due to inactivity, even though Lashley was in full mount at the time. Lashley then complained to the referee about the cut under his eye. Referee John Schultz then asked the ringside doctor with 33 seconds left in the second round to inspect the cut, with Lashley deciding to continue fighting. This created some controversy as referee John Schultz did not put the fight back in mount where it was originally stopped. Griggs then sprawled out of a desperate takedown by Lashley near the end of round 2 and hammer-fisted the eye of Lashley's that was already cut until the round ended. A ring doctor then stopped the fight, resulting in Lashley losing at the end of the second round by TKO. Backstage after the fight, Lashley was taken off on a stretcher due to dehydration. Following the fight, it was discovered that Lashley was suffering from mono and was subsequently unable to train for 4 months. Titan Fighting Championship. On February 18, 2011, Titan Fighting Championship had announced the signing of Lashley. He was expected to debut against James Jack, however on March 16, 2011, officials announced they had lost contact with Jack and instead John Ott stepped in to fight Lashley. The pace of the fight slowed down drastically in the second round, where Lashley began to display the same cardio problems that affected him in his previous fight. He was able to win a unanimous decision, despite suffering the effects of illness. Lashley was scheduled to fight Eddie Sanchez at Titan Fighting Championships 19. But on July 22, 2011, it was announced that Lashley withdrew from the fight due to personal reasons. Lashley defeated Kevin Asplund at Titan Fighting Championships 25 on June 7, 2013, winning via colloque submission. Shark Fights. Lashley has signed a 3-year deal with Shark Fights and was expected to make his debut against Daryl Schoonover in November. The fight was to be for the heavyweight title. However, Schoonover later pulled out of the bout due to an injury. Lashley was then set to headline Shark Fights 21 against Tim Hague. But Hague pulled out of the bout for unknown reasons and was replaced by Dave Huckaber. On November 7 it was confirmed that the fight with Huckaber had been scrapped for unknown reasons. Lashley was then scheduled to face Mark Martinez, but Martinez was later pulled out of the bout due to expired blood work. On November 11, 2011, Lashley became the new Shark Fights heavyweight champion, defeating Carl Knet in the first round by submission. Knet was the 5th different opponent scheduled to face Lashley after numerous fighters pulled out due to various reasons. Independent promotions. He next competed at India's Super Fight League's third event, SFL 3, against James Thompson. Lashley lost the fight via unanimous decision. Lashley was scheduled to face Matthew Larson at GWC, the British Invasion, US vs UK. On June 29, 2013. Lashley won via rear naked choke submission in round 1. In an interview with MMA Junkie the day prior to his GWC fight, Lashley indicated that he had 2 potential fights lined up for August 2013, saying, "If I'm going to fight, I need to fight. I need to stay active. I need to do something big now. If not, I need to hang it up and just do stuff with my gym. I'm fighting this fight, and I think I have 2 in August that were offered to me. Hopefully if I don't get hurt, I can stay active and just keep going." Lashley fought Extreme Fight Night 15, Indestructible on November 8, 2013 against Tony "The Rock" Melton, which he won via unanimous decision. Bellator MMA. In July 2014, it was announced that Lashley had signed with Bellator MMA. He made his promotional debut against Josh Burns on September 5, 2014 at Bellator 123. Lashley won the fight via rear naked choke submission in the second round. Lashley is set to face Carl Etherington on October 24, 2014 at Bellator 130. Personal life. Lashley graduated from Missouri Valley College in 1999 with a degree in Human Service Agency Management. Lashley has a daughter, Kira, who was born in 2005. In 2007, Lashley opened up a shop that sells health smoothie drinks. He dated former WWE diva Crystal Marshall. The couple had a son, named Mills, in July 2008. In April 2010, Crystal confirmed on Twitter that she and Lashley have split. In July 2009, Lashley announced the launch of the Lashley Network. The Lashley network of websites comprises his official gym, his official nutrition store, and his social networking website. In a press release for the launch, he stated that he is keeping his name out in the television media and on the internet so he can reach his goal of being the top fighter in MMA. In March 2010, Lashley announced the grand opening of his new gym in the Denver, Colorado area titled American Top Team Altitude. The facility will serve as a gym such as popular chain Gold's Gym and will also showcase MMA events. Lashley was featured in the 2010 video game EA Sports MMA. In May 2010, Lashley announced the opening of his new MMA management company Lashley Management. Lashley, along with co-founder Judith Sussman, represent current and future mixed martial artists. Other media: in March 2007, he alongside Randy Orton, John Cena, and Edge appeared on Deal or No Deal. In 2009, he made a cameo appearance in the action movie The Way of War, credited as the tattooed Hispanic man. Filmography. Music videos. In wrestling. Finishing moves: Dominator, Dragon Sleeper Euro 2009, Right-handed Knockout Hook Euro 2009, Spear Euro 2007 Euro Present, Thrust Spine Buster Euro 2009. Used as a signature move thereafter. Signature moves: Clothesline, Fallaway Slam, Full Nelson Slam, Military Press Drop, Multiple Suplex Variations, Delayed Vertical, with Theatrics, Exploder, Overhead Belly to Belly, Trapping. Shoulder Block. Nicknames: The Dominator, The Real Deal, The God of Thunder, The Boss, The Destroyer. Managers: Crystal Lashley, Montel Vontavious Porter. Entrance themes: God of Thunder by Kiss, Hell Will Be Calling Your Name performed by Mercy Fall and composed by Jim Johnston, Blow Me Away by Breaking Benjamin, The Boss by Dale Oliver, I Am Me by Lil Wayne, Domination by Dale Oliver. Championships and accomplishments. Amateur Wrestling, International Federation of Associated Wrestling Styles, NYAC Christmas Tournament Senior Freestyle Silver Medalist. International Military Sports Council, CISM Armed Forces Championship Senior Freestyle Gold Medalist, CISM Military World Championship Senior Freestyle Silver Medalist, CISM Armed Forces Championship Senior Freestyle Silver Medalist. USA Wrestling, third in the USA World Team Trials Senior Freestyle. National Association of Intercollegiate Athletics, NAIA Collegiate National Championship, NAIA All-American. Kansas Wrestling Coaches Association, KWCA Collegiate Wrestler of the Year. National High School Coaches Association, NHSCA Senior All-American. Kansas State High School Activities Association, KSHSAA 6A High School State Championship, KSHSAA 6A High School State Championship runner-up, KSHSAA 6A All-State. Mixed Martial Arts, Shark Fights Heavyweight Championship. Extreme Fight Night, XFN Heavyweight Championship. Professional Wrestling, Pro Wrestling Illustrated, PWI Rookie of the Year, PWI Most Improved Wrestler of the Year, PWI ranked him number 9 of the top 500 singles wrestlers in the PWI 500 in 2007. Total Nonstop Action Wrestling, TNA World Heavyweight Championship, TNA Championship Series. World Wrestling Entertainment, ECW World Championship, WWE United States Championship. Mixed Martial Arts Record, see also. List of sportspeople with martial arts records. References. External links: LashleyNetwork.com, Lashley Management, ATT Altitude, LashleyNutrition.com, FightBobby.com, Inoki Genome Federation Profile, Bobby Lashley Profile at the National Wrestling Hall of Fame, HitTheRopes.com Interview, Bobby Lashley MMA Interview, Bobby Lashley on Twitter, Professional MMA Record for Bobby Lashley from Sherdog, Bobby Lashley at the Internet Movie Database.